So, well, I guess the first thing I thought about this a lot, and this is stuff that I want to know. Were you born here?
Yes, I was I was born someplace down here by a big ball club.
My ball club. And what about your dad?
Dad came from Berlin, Wisconsin.
Berlin, Wisconsin?
Yeah. That's where his family originated, was in Berlin. They came here from Scotland, if I'm not mistaken. The past history,
And why did he come over here?
I think it was the logging industry at that time. Dad used to ride these rafts down the river. And of course, now this is many years ago. In like 1892, 3, in that area.
Ride the logs down the river?
Mm-hmm. They call them rafts or whatever you call them, logs. You look back at that, it makes you kind of think of what's happening today and what it was then.
So is that what he did his whole life, was logged?
Yeah, most of the time. Logged in. I think I was just a small child. I was like 13 or 14.
To this exact...
To this place, and I just figured that Gary was about the only one of the kids that I could really, give it to and let.
Well, he's not going anywhere.
That's what I mean.
So what did you do for work when you got old enough to work?
When I got old enough to work, you kids won't believe this, but I think it would kill you if you had to do it now, the way things are. Used to jump on the freight train and ride out and shock grain. There was no work. You could stand on the depot down here at the river, and I imagine that your dad got pictures of that. I mean, you might have old pictures of that. And every boxcar would have like a bunch of crows sitting on a fence. Hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's true.
Are people looking for work?
People looking for work. That's right. I mean, there was no job. I shocked grain with college graduates.
Wow, what did you do when you couldn't work?
I always worked. I always found something to do. I've never spent a night in jail in my life. I mean, I've always found something to do.
What did you do after that when you got a little bit older?
I went to work in the mines. I worked there for about 29 years.
Which mines?
U.S. Steel.
At U.S. Steel?
Marble. Iron ore.
Iron ore? I guess I should have known that.
That's right.
Well, how many brothers and sisters did you have?
There was 9 in the family,
9 of you.
9 of us.
And where were you in the lineup?
I was the third from the last. I have 2 younger sisters. So I'm the only one left in the family. I lost my 2 sisters within the last 3 years, isn't it, fellas?
Yeah.
With cancer. Yeah.
So, I mean, hunting is obviously a big part of your life. When did you start hunting?
Seems like carry a gun. You could go out and knock the heads off of partridges with a club. You didn't need a gun, actually. And that's no lie either. I mean, I'm not.
You did what now?
I say you could go out and knock the heads off of partridges absolutely. There was millions of them.
And you did this?
Yeah, we've done that. We used to have cows here.
You used to have, I remember that. I think when I was a little kid, you used to have cows then even?
We did. Yeah. Dad's been gone 58 years.
How long?
58.
Wow.
Since your dad?
Since Dad died,
Yeah, so right when my dad was born.
Pardon?
Right around the time my dad was born.
Yeah, it was just before he died, just before your dad.
When you were kids growing up here, what did you do for fun?
When we had a raft down here in Big Ball Club, all of us kids, we took the horses down there. And there was quite a few kids lived here. And we went down there, we pulled big cedar logs out, and then we'd go down fishing with frogs and walleyes. There was big ones then too, not like it is now.
Walleyes would eat frogs?
Oh, they'd bad anything you put in the water.
Really?
Oh, sure.
This was in Little Ball Club?
On Big Ball.
Big Ball Club.
Big Ball Club.
So you've been fishing there your whole life then?
Yeah, a lot. When we was kids, yeah.
So did you trap?
No, I never was a trapper. I had a very good friend that lived down the road here, Earl Hill. As a matter of fact, Phyllis and I went out and visited him a couple times in Arizona. He moved to Arizona. And the last time I was out there, we stopped at St. George in Utah to visit him.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to my brother to Harlow Thompson's place in Colorado, we were staying there. We got a phone call that Earl was almost dead from leukemia, and he died. It was just a couple of days.
Mm.
So I haven't. The whole family's gone. I'm the only one left out of the whole bunch. I don't know whether that's luck or not. I hunted in Montana, Colorado, Texas, all over. We used to do a lot of that. We work in the mines during the day, and half of the night in the woods, so we could go on. And that's what it amounted to, but kept us healthy.
Do you remember, is there any animal in particular that you, like, when you look back at your life, is like the big one or the one that you remember the most? Like one specific deer or bear or whatever?
Yeah, I shot out when I was up in Alaska. I ran the sawmill up in Alaska for 4 years. 3.5 or 4 years from after I retired. I went up there, they called me up, and I had a mill of my own, so I went up there and I ran the sawmill for 4 years. And I shot a big bull moose up there. And I remember how happy I was I shot it. But otherwise, I've shot all the game here. I love to hunt. I think that Gary can buy this honestly. I mean, it's no fault of his.
I gotta ask about the horse that you punched, or was it a donkey or a mule, whatever it was that you punched. I've never heard the whole story directly.
About that horse?
Yeah, what happened?
He's the picture of the horse in there
do you mean the one with Fern?
With Fern and Dad. The picture of the horse.
Was that the horse you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the horse.
And it belonged to Bill Evers?
Yeah, we sold him to Bill Evers.
Well, how did you
And
get
Bill
it?
says the only trouble, we bought him from a guy up here. We bought this horse. The first horse we bought, and then we got this one. I rode the horse home from Abbotsuma. Bought it from a Finlander. And I rode the horse home, and he acted awful funny. Unless I steered him, he'd go here, he'd go there, you know. And this Finlander that we bought him from, at that time you didn't just jump in your car and go to Sumi. It was quite a trip because all we had was a Model T Ford or something. You didn't do like you do now. Anyway, we got that horse down here, and my brother-in-law and I was cutting some cedar back here. And George, he said to me, he said, Dick, he said, that horse is blind. I said, oh, you must be kidding. No, he said, it's blind. He said, it'll run right into a tree unless I said he can't see nothing. But he looks good. Well, we went back up and we talked to this. Dad went back and talked to that Finlander. He said, that horse is blind. And when he first bought the horse, he told Dad, he said, that's a good horse, but he no looking good. Anyway, when we went back up there, Dad said, this horse is blind. Didn't you know it? He said, I told you he no look him good. And he was dead serious about it. A nice little Finlander. And then we traded that horse for his Prince. And that son of a gun, I mean, he'd walk in the house if you'd let him. I mean, he was just a lover.
Now, how old were you when this was going on?
I was about that time, about 22, I imagine.
So how did you end up having to punch the thing?
Having what?
Having to punch the thing.
I don't know.
Did your brothers and sisters all live in northern Minnesota too? Because I don't believe I've met.
Bob left here in 1938. Graduated, just from the 8th grade now, mind you. Went and he got married in Palm Springs, California. A girl by the name of Grace. And she owned a place, inherited the place in the state of Washington. Redlands, Washington. And Bob went out there, and like I said, he wasn't highly educated. But he built the first homes on Mercer Island. He drew his own blueprints. He had I don't know how many guys working for him. And he was sitting right on top of it, you know. He was very intelligent. And these people that he's built a home for, you know, they'd be very satisfied with it, so they'd bring him a quart of whiskey or whatever. I went there to see him one time, and I don't care where he went, he could find a quart of whiskey. That's no lie. I mean, it killed him eventually, but just drinking too much. But how he got into that, I don't know. But he built some beautiful homes. He had, I don't know, 15, 20 guys working for him all the time. Everything was going fine. But I guess drinking can get anybody if they do too much of it. Yeah. But I never remember arguing with any of our family. I mean, we got along good. Very good. Maybe we have more arguments now than we used to have.
And then, so you lived here with your dad and your family and your mom.
Yes,
and all that.
for just before Dad had heart trouble.
What do you think is you're 89 years old, and that's pretty amazing. What do you think the secret is to getting to stick around that long?
You know, really, this is just my own personal few things. And I've talked to your dad about this. I think you've got to have something to do. Even if it don't amount to much. You know, you just can't. Really, Greg, that's the way I feel about it. I mean, it doesn't have to be much. You might have to do it twice, but you got to have something to do.
I know you that you riced a lot and parched your own rice. Mm-hmm. How did you get started doing that?
Well, Gibbs moved in down here, and they started making this black rice, which is, I think you know what I mean. It's black. And it doesn't taste like Indian food rice. Mm-hmm. So I used to sell a lot of rice. I mean, guys from the Red Lake Reservation would come down here and bring me fish. They'd always bring me a bunch of walleyes, and I'd process their rice for them.
Oh, trade.
Yeah. I got the fish for free. I didn't take much off on the parching the rice.
What all goes into parching the rice? Or what? How does that work, parching the rice?
You use wood. You've got to use wood. I mean, that's the process the Indians used years ago. They used wood. Of course, they processed it with their feet, you know, with moccasins on. You've read about that, of course. And I had machinery to do it with.
Okay.
You know.
And does that just take the hull off of it?
Takes the hull off. You parch it first.
Okay.
And then you put it in your machine, and
You know, I know my dad, when he was a kid, he said that he would go out ricing for money to buy school clothes and junk like that, just spending money. So, and I did too. But
You did too?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I still got a pair of knockers you gave me.
Yeah. It was. I missed that.
Ricing?
Oh yeah, I used to love that. I was good at it.
Well, I went out, me and Willard Parks went out when I was a senior in high school, and you and Bud King were out. Was it Bud King?
Yeah, Bud King.
And you guys were out of there about 2 hours before us with a full boat. So
Yeah.
we were in high school, and you smoked us. So
Yeah.
you got a lot more rice a lot faster than we did.
I did it ever since I was a kid. I started racing with an old guy. At that time, he was about 85 years old, and he had done it for years.
And how old were you?
At that time, maybe 14,
Hmm.
14 years old. And we went to Mud Lake. And I'll never forget that. I pulled that boat all day and it almost killed me. And we wasn't getting much rice. After 2 or 3 days, I said, hey, let me try that. And he pulled the boat from that time on. Yeah.
He pulled the boat,
Yeah.
and you did the. Is that how you and Bud did too? He pulled and you knocked.
I used Bud, you know, Tibbetts over here. Bud Tibbetts.
Yeah.
You remember Bud.
Mm-hmm.
Bud and I, we always bet on him. Very much, right?
Oh.
There was many nights that now this wasn't legal. We'd go out at night, and of course we'd meet a lot of friends out there because they were doing the same thing. But you could make more in one night than I could make in a week in mines.
And ricing?
Absolutely.
So how far through school did you go?
I only went through the 8th grade.
Through the 8th
well,
grade?
I went most of the night.
Yeah. But back then that was normal.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that now.
Yeah.
You either get an education now or you're not, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I worked with a lot of guys, college education right here in the mines when I first started to work. I was operating when I left the service, I was operating a machine gun.
Oh, really?
So I was in the infantry. Yeah.
Oh.
So I was on the ship going to Japan when they dropped the bomb.
Oh, really?
And they kicked a bunch of us off, and I was one of them. And I was, tell you what, I'll be perfectly frank with you, I'm still happy about it because I don't think most of us would have survived in Japan.
So you were drafted?
Yeah, I had 3 children at that time. I didn't refuse to go or anything. I went, but I didn't volunteer.
Yeah. You weren't thrilled about it, I would imagine, either.
But I went and trained in Arkansas, up in the mountains. Saw a lot of pretty girls. They'd be sitting up on their porches, you know, walk through, hollering, waving at us. Yeah. And you know the funny part of it is this, and it's not funny either. Every sergeant that we had that trained us would tell you the same thing. If you see a kid on your side of the street over there, shoot him. If he's only 6 years old, shoot him if he doesn't cross the street. It's kind of hard to live with, you know.
Oh, wow.
But like you said, they'll put a hand grenade in your pocket if they get a chance. These kids. So we were happy not to have to fight over there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was damn happy when they dropped that atomic bomb.
Yeah.
We killed 100,000 people. We'd have killed a lot more than that if they hadn't have dropped it. Yeah. No, I was lucky. I had 6 brothers-in-laws, and every one of them were just wonderful people. They all lived here within a radius of 100 miles, like okay. But every fall, every one of them would hunt with us, and it was lucky. Never got anybody hurt when we was hunting or anything. The only thing that ever happened that was close, was right up the road up here. I was on the stand and they drove a big doe by me. and I hit the doe, I shot the doe. The bullet went on through and cut off a jack pine tree about that far from Lyle Thompson's dig up here.
Really?
Well, it hit him. And Lyle was where he shouldn't have been. But you know, we faced that hunting with a whole bunch of guys. I mean, it scared us.
Yeah.
What could happen? Very little driving after that.
Weren't you two fishing
Yeah, we
together when
fished
you did
in
the airs?
The Father's Day fishing contest, me and you fished.
Yeah, that's right. Like we did.
And you caught that northern and let me turn it in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do remember that.
Yep. And I got, what, a stay at the at the resort out of it or something?
Yeah,
I think it was one of the big prizes.
Yeah.
Yep. I fished with Sean one time. We was up on Bowstring, and all of a sudden it started raining, thunder, and lightning. And Gary and his wife, they left. And Sean, he said, "Grandpa, let's stay for a while. He may be able to quit." And we went out there, and neither one of us ever forgot it. I never saw walleyes bite like that in my life.
Really?
One or after the other.
When was this?
Oh, Jesus, a long time ago. Must be. What's a long time ago? Way before Sean. I don't even know where he lived at that time. But anyway,
Was he growing up?
oh yeah.
Sean was.
Yeah, Sean was, he was a grown man at that time.
Oh, well, then.
It must be over 20 years ago. Just one of them things. I remember when I was first married, my sister Fern got married about the same time. She married a guy by the name of Woody Jones. And Woody and I, we got along real good together. And we was cutting spruce back here in the swamp, about a mile and a half up just to make a living. And on the way coming home, there's a creek went through there. And we walked the creek far enough to get a fish for supper, and you could reach under the bank and get them suckers. And when we went hunting, I don't know how many deer we killed that summer, and during the summer. By God, times were rough. I mean, a little bit of pulp you cut, there was no money in that either, but we lived.
And that was a part of where the deer came in too?
Yeah.
I mean, not just for sport, but for
Oh
food.
God, no. No, that was for me.
Survival.
And we had a guy that would turn you in, you know, that lived right by us over here on the corner. So we'd have to shoot an extra one for him once in a while.
To keep him quiet?
Yeah, to keep him to shut his mouth. He was an old bachelor, so we got along good with him as long as once we found out that we had to give him part of the loot that we got.
Now, how old were you when you married Grandma?
21.
21? And where was she from?
She lived right down her folks moved all over. I couldn't tell you where just exactly where. But when Claire and I got married, she lived about a mile down here.
So she must have known her most of...
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
did you build on this spot?
Yeah.
What was here before this?
A log house.
A log house? And that's
Yeah.
you lived in a log house? When with
It
I would
was right in
imagine
the same spot almost.
I would imagine there was no electricity.
Oh God, no. I'll say no.
Well, see, for us that's all foreign because we've had that
I
as
know that.
as long as we've been alive. We've had like air
Yeah.
conditioning and
When we never had electricity till after Dad died. It was after Dad died before they put the electric lines in somewhere.
or phone even for that matter.
Or a phone. No, we had a phone.
Oh, did you?
We had a phone. I remember the phone because the lady lived right over here on the other side of this plantation at that time. Some people by the name of Diedrichs. The lightning hit the phone and it knocked her down.
Oh, really?
Yep.
She was okay though?
She was, yeah, never heard her. Never heard her. But it did something to the phone that didn't work.
Oh.
They had one of them that you put on the wall, you know, when you're crying.
and you crank it, and then
Yeah.
you talk to an operator who tells you who you want to talk to.
That is right. Yeah, and then everybody listening.
Oh, would they?
Yeah.
I think it rang in every house it was connected to. That was why.
Yeah.
Everybody knew as soon as it was a telephone call, so they rubberneck.
Yeah, they don't listen. Well, it's been quite a life. And I consider myself lucky that I'm still able to get out and think I'm hunting, even if I ain't.
So, what are some of the best things that you remember? Just the things that made you the happiest.
You know, I don't know. I never. I couldn't answer that very good. I mean, I was never ugly or anything until her and I got married.
I sparked up your life a little bit.
And how long have the two of you been married?
26 years
Oh, wow.
in October.
Yeah, 26 years.
Wow.
26 years. Wow.
It doesn't seem possible, you know, really. My wife Claire was 34 years old. I went to work one night, and she used to have what you call a migraine headache. She'd get these migraine headaches. I went to work on graveyard shift, and I just started, I think at that time I was on the grader. I just started work, and I got a call that she was in the hospital. She had aneurysm. Nothing was ever the same after that. No.
She lived quite a ways past then, though, didn't she?
Oh, yes.
How
Yeah,
old was she
a
when she?
good many years past that.
Okay.
And then she got so she could use her arm good.
Mm.
And, but it was never the same, you know.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Then the first time I ever met her dad, we'd been hunting up at Saskatchewan, way to hell I'm going up in Saskatchewan, but here up towards the falls. And I wasn't feeling very good. I went out and I told the boys when I come back, I said, there's something wrong. They took me to the doctor. And the doctor in one of them towns up there, he said, you know, I think, he said, you got a bad appendix, but I'm not sure. So the boys thought, well, hell, we'll take him home. We took him home, they give us antibiotics to the hospital for 2 or 3 days. I went back to work, I felt good. 20 days later, that broke. Well, it had been broke before, but I got sick. Well, Doc, I've been a friend of his ever since. I saw a guy the other night, Kenny Marlowe, used to live down the road. Phyllis and I was on the casino out there. She's sitting reading the book, and I caught this big salmon, and he went down the river. And as I went by a guy, hey, Dickies, what are you doing up here? Well, I didn't have time to talk to him. I came back, and that's the first, I used to live down the road. The other day, he comes up in the restaurant down here, and he says, you remember me? And I said, you're familiar, but I'll be darned if I remember you. He said, the last time I saw you was on the casino off. And I said, Kenny Marlowe. I knew who it was. That's been 25 years ago.
Jeez.
You hadn't seen him for 25 years?
I hadn't seen him for 25 years, and I hadn't seen him for years before that. He had a board and breakfast and everything on the Kenai, and I never even knew it.
Oh, really?
I was looking for a place to fish. I didn't know Kenny had that there.
Huh.
Yeah, he says, you can come fish there anytime you go. Every Thursday, Harlow Thompson. Lyle Thompson and Herman Castle would come here on Thursdays. Their wife was taking therapy, their wives. And they'd come here on Thursday for how long now?
Oh, gosh.
The only Thursday they've missed is Thanksgiving.
I think there's 2 summers, I think.
Yeah.
It's been a long one.
Every Thursday I take them fishing.
Anyhow, it's,
Just, you know, kind of get their minds off this stuff. And I think the first time they've missed is since Thanksgiving.
last year's fishing wasn't good.
And now they'll come and they'll sit and drink coffee and lie to each other. We saw Grandpa Red the other day.
Oh, did you?
First time I've seen him for God only knows how long, and Grandma too.
Yeah.
She wasn't feeling good.
No, she's not doing too great, I don't think.
No,
Who's that?
Red and Joyce.
Oh, yeah.
He seems fine.
Red?
Yeah.
Well, as long as he stays with them tractors, he will
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, yeah.
Something to do, right? It makes a lot of difference. He's always busy. Like he said, I'm always losing money at it, but it's fun.
So did you spearfish when you were a kid? I mean,
Oh yeah.
through the ice? Or?
Well, yeah, I used to all the time. I had to fish out some big ball club.
Did you need a tag for that back then?
If I did, it didn't cost very little. I'll
Oh,
tell you
yeah.
that.
Do you still spear?
No, I don't. I'm afraid I'll fall in the hole now.
Hmm.
No, I don't spear. I would if they came up the creeks,
Hmm.
but they don't no more.
The Northerns used to?
Yeah, they right back at the house here, just exactly 1 mile back of the house. We used to spear Northerns in there that you wouldn't believe. I think your dad remembers that.
No kidding. Really? Wow.
25, 30 pounds. Great big Northern.
There must have been a lot more of them than.
Yeah, there was quite a few more. Yeah. Then we had a nasty game warden,
Oh, really?
Bob Great. But if I want to feed the deer, and I suppose I will pretty quick, but I can put corn right here and it'd be 15, 20 of them all in the evening, and it's fun to watch them.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's fun to watch them. Geez, I think Gary and I fed them with 5 ton last week.
Wow.
Really?
Oh yeah, we fed them. I know I fed 1.5 tons.
Wow. And as long as I can remember, he's always had deer out in the backyard feeding that he
Yeah.
was,
Right here.
you know. Well, at the old place too, he
I know he
always,
did. Yeah.
always had.
The only difference there and here, they wouldn't come right up by the house there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Too
they'd
much
stay
too
way out
open.
in the.
And here, it's kind of fun to watch them. They'll, the dog will lay on the porch, and the deer will feed so that they can see the dog, and the dog sees the deer. They seem to be friends.
She doesn't chase him.
No, she pays no attention to them. As a matter of fact, my nephew Lyle Thompson walked out to one of the scaffolds here last fall, and the dog growled at him. The deer'd come out and eat hay right by her cage, and she wouldn't even look at him. Lyle says she thinks more of the deer than she does of me.
Barked at him,
Yeah,
So when did you retire?
1980 wasn't it,
Yeah,
fellas?
September 1980.
Where did you retire from?
Where from?
Yeah.
U.S. Steel.
U.S. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, from U.S. Steel.
How many years did you work there then?
28 and a half about.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been at the same job for 5 years, and it seems like I've been there forever.
Well, do you like your job?
Yeah.
Well, that's the main thing.
What do you do?
I run a group home for developmentally disabled, mentally retarded kids, so that they can live on their own in the community instead of being locked up in an institution.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I like it.
Kind of an interesting job.
It's interesting. Yep.
Good.
And it's good. These guys get to live. You know.
Did you really get acquainted with some
Oh,
of the
yeah.
kid?
Yeah. 25 years ago, we just lock them up.
Yeah, I know that.
How long have you been at that?
I've been doing it for 10 years, but I've been at this job for 5.
I see.
Yep. I like it a lot. They're just like everybody else. Just like they just.
You know, right now, if you move up here, you'll see more of it. And, but we've had some kids just like you said, and they'd lock them up. I got a broocher here on the road up here. I never knew it, but he was up here and he had Tony. Tony
Oh,
Baker.
the guy that lived up here?
Yeah, you
Oh, yeah.
should get that and let the kids read up on him.
Gary.
And they has Gary got the book?
I don't know. No, we've got it.
We've got it. And we knew him real well. And that's what they done with him. Locked him up. Instead of, he shot his dad up here, and his dad needed shooting. I mean, but then he stayed up here for 10 years, or 15 years, and nobody knew where the kid was at.
No kidding.
No. Gary knew the boy. Not as well as, he was more Roger's age and Dickie's. But,
Wow.
Yeah.
He shot his dad
Yeah,
and
he
just
killed
lived
his
up
dad.
here.
He killed his dad and he killed all the ghosts because they belonged to his dad. He lived right up the road here. Kate was his wife's name. She came from Missoula, Montana.
How did he manage to live up there?
He was a trapper.
Wow. And then they eventually caught him, I take it?
Yeah. Now these same kids, a guy by the name of Gullickson over here had it. Just got a couple of kids.
Yeah.
You've heard about this.
Yeah, I know who he's, I can't remember his name, but
Mel Gullickson.
yeah.
And he started this recycling. You've heard about that.
Oh yeah, hired hands?
But it hired hands?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you now, it's, once you kind of get interested in that, and here until the last couple of years, I didn't pay any attention to it. But I've known Mel all my life. But he did about 16 or 18 of these kids. He pays them, I think, $6.50 an hour. And they recycle. And he said they'll never leave.
Yeah.
And these kids will, you go in there and they're just tickled to death to see you. They'll shake your hand and.
So what were Roger and Richard and Gary like as little kids? Were they always getting into trouble, or were they good kids?
No, they weren't good kids. Gary was. Gary was, but Roger and Richard drive you nuts.
Did they get along?
Yeah, they got along with everybody except somebody they wanted to fight with. I mean,
They didn't fight amongst themselves?
no,
much?
they wouldn't fight among themselves. They, just as anybody else.
And Roger gets along with everybody.
Oh, Rogers.
You know, but I've never known him any other way. I mean, he's always been.
And so is Dickie. I mean, they thank God they changed their attitude as they get older.
Yeah.
So who was born first? Was Roger,
Roger,
and then
yeah, Roger, and then Dickie, and Sharon.
and then my dad?
Yep.
And then Sue was the youngest.
Yes, Sue was the youngest. The boy was here. Her boy, Mike.
Mike?
Now, you know him?
Oh yeah.
He was a
Yeah,
good
you
kid.
kids grew up
Mike,
with him.
oh yeah, I grew up with him. We used to, when they lived right down here.
Yeah.
Isn't he
He's
just 1 year younger than us or something?
Yeah, I think he's a year younger.
You'd like him. He's really a nice boy.
He wants coffee.
No, I just drink his.
Yeah, he's really a nice guy.
He's a big boy.
He kept signing up. He'd done everything in the world. He cooked and anything he could do to make a living. But he was long determined he wasn't going to live in California. He graduated in California, high school. But he said, I don't like them people out there, Grandpa. So he came back here, and eventually he got on at U.S. Steel, and he was up the other night. And I think he'd been there 2 years now.
Oh yeah.
He said, I never made so much money in my life. He said, what irritates me is here these older guys that's been there for a few years. Wait, you wait till the next time, boy, we'll go on strike. And he said, all they'd have to do is go work for Ryla for a month and they'd change their attitude.